we're going to use your calculator today.
My secret weapon!
So I'm telling you, whether it's a TI 83 Plus or TI 83 Barbie model, whatever you want, go get it.
I say this calls for action, and now!
And you need to turn or pause the tape, but I need you to have it in your hand. So go get it now, okay? Because we're going to use it right away.
This is a job for you know who.
Okay, I'm going to give you a tour of what we're going to use today. In reference to the calculator, there's a lot to cover, but we're only going to use it today to plot some points, ordered pairs. Okay, now some of the buttons we're going to be using.
Boy, is this great!
We're going to do easy points. Some of the buttons, and make sure you know where they are. Of course, the on button. Don't have to hit it right now, but the enter button, when I say enter, that's what I want you to hit right there. The graph buttons right there. The stat button, we're going to be using that a lot. Okay? And the y equals button or stat plot. Okay, look for that. And to get anything orange, of course, you're going to use the second button. Okay, you'll hit second and then the specific button. For instance, second on, as you can see, turns the calculator off. And there's stat plot. Second y equals gives you stat plot. Now that's the L1, but we're going to call it list 1. Because we're going to be actually, to put in points, we need their pairs, we need to put in 2 lists. So that was list 1, and this is list 2. And when I speak of the cursor keys, you probably knew this, but that's the cursor key. So cursor up, cursor left, right, and down. And that's the clear button. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do it twice. Turn that baby on if it isn't already on. And I'm going to hit stat plot, which means I'm going to hit second y equals. Now, unless you've changed your calculator, it's set to graph lines, continuous lines, which is basically an infinite number of points. We want to turn it on so that it graphs basically a limited number of points. It's called plotting them. So we're going to turn plot on. And I'll show you how to do that. And then you're going to clear to get back out. Then we're going to start putting them in. Inputting the points. And all statistical type stuff is done under the stat button. So you would hit the stat button, and we're going to actually enter them by editing. And I'll show you what's going to happen there. And we'll enter the points. Now you can either enter the points via the cursors, or you can use the enter button. And we'll hit graph and we'll actually see these 3. Should be only 3 points. Remember, 2 numbers make up a point. As you know, we hit clear to get out of here. Now, you might have had trouble following me because I went pretty fast. I'm going to do it again, and you watch me do it. Let me bring up my calculator. Basically, remember what we're doing here. We're turning the ability to plot on and to actually draw individual points, and then we're actually entering the points. Okay, let's turn the calculator on. You can follow my cursor with on. And now I use stat plot, which is up here. It's not on the stat button. It's up here above y equals. So I have to hit second y equals. And I get into stat plot. And I can see that the plotter is off. There's 4 of them, but I'm just going to do one at a time. So I want to turn it on. So I can either hit 1 or enter. And I see that the off is shaded, so I need to cursor to the on and hit enter. And I can see now that on is shaded, and I'm in good shape. The plotter is on, and you can see that the plotter is on up here as well. So I'll clear to get out. Okay, now the plotter is on, but it doesn't have anything to plot. So I'm going to put in some points, and basically you put in points by editing the lack of points. So I'm going to hit the stat button, and the stat brings me up to the stat menu. The first option I have is to edit, and that's what I'll do. Okay, since I'm on number 1, I don't have to cursor. I can just hit enter. Okay, now there's no points in here, so I'm going to cursor around and put them in. going to put a 1 here, and I'll hit enter. And then I can cursor up, that's the hard way to do it, and put a 2 and hit enter. Remember, your cursor keys are over here. Now if I want to do what I think the easy way is to just forget the enter and just cursor, because it's gonna input the number. So we'll put a 3 here, and if I cursor down anyway, it puts it. And let's see, what am I going to want here? I'm going to want a 5. And I'll cursor off. It's like a little spreadsheet. And I'll put a 4 here, and cursor down or hit enter, and a 6 here, and just cursor. I'll just hit enter there. Okay, now so you've got the 0.12, the 0.34, and the 0.56. I've entered them, so I should be able to see them because the plot is on. So I'll hit graph, and son of a gun, there they are. Now there must be a line that's still in here from a previous problem, and we'll get rid of that. Let's hit y equals, and I can see there's x plus 6, so I'll clear. Now hit graph again. There it is, and there's all my points. Okay, and remember how we get out to the main screen? We hit clear. Very good. Now we want to go over everything. Suppose your Aunt Minnie is going to use the calculator next. You've left it with plot on and all these points, and they're going to be on the graph if you leave it that way. I want to show you how to take all the information we just did, take it back out of your calculator. To get your calculator set back to the way it was, we're going to hit stat plot. Why did we go into stat plot? That's to turn plotting on and off, and we'll turn it off. Okay? And that'll clear will get us back out to the main screen. Now we'll still have the data in there, and if we want to see it, we can turn plot back on. If we want to get the data out of there, here's one way to do it, and there may be way more than 3 points, so this is probably a more efficient way than doing it one at a time. One of the options under stat is to clear a list. Now actually these points are 2 lists. All the x's where the domain is a list, and all the y's where the range is a list. So I'm going to have you go to stat clear list, and it's going to ask you what list. Well, you'll say list 1 by hitting second and the number 1. That'll get you the L1. And then hit enter. And that will clear all the x's, even if there's 500 of them. Then I'm going to have you hit stat again, clear list, which is number 4. And of course we have to clear the second one. So we'll answer that question with L2, which you can't just type L2. You'll have to hit second and the number 2. And then enter. And that will get rid of all the ones in the second list, or all the y's if you would. And if you hit graph, you should see nothing now. Okay, and remember how to get out. You set it back to the way it was. Okay, you're a good, responsible calculator user. Let me try it now. Let me bring up my calculator, and I'm going to hit, let me turn it off first. The stat plot, I mean. So I'll hit second, stat plot, and I can see that it's on. It tells me right here that it's on. So I'll hit 1 or enter. Cursor to off. Remember where your cursors are. Cursor to off and hit enter, and now it's off. Okay? And I want to get out of there with clear. Now if I wanted to get rid of the data, maybe it was secret data, I have to get into stat. Remember, all the editing of the data is subordinate to stat, the specific data. So I hit stat. Now I was in edit, okay, and I could go into edit and delete one at a time, but I can get the whole list with number 4. And I'll cursor down, do it the hard way first, cursor down, and I'll hit enter on number 4. And it'll say clear list, what list? And I want to tell it L1. Remember that L1 is down here, but it's orange. So I'll have to hit second 1, and it actually types an L1 for me, and I'll hit enter to tell him that I'm sure, and it tells me that it did it. It cleared it out. Okay, now I still have to clear out the second one, so I'll hit stat Once again, clear list, but this time I'm too lazy. I'm going to hit 4. And it says which list? Well, I still got to get list 2. And here's list 2 down here. But I can't hit the 2. I have to hit the L2 or list 2. So I'll hit second and list 2 and then enter. And it's gone. You don't believe me, I bet. So we'll hit graph. And everything's gone. Okay, remember how to get out? We'll hit clear. Okay, very good. Don't forget, you can stop the movie at any time, pause it at any time, and try this on your own with the directions like this, okay? Now we're going to do it a couple more times because I need you to be very comfortable with entering data. Let's do another relation.
Bring it on.
We're going to put in this set of pairs, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, and 5, 1. Now we had already, hopefully your calculator is set the way that we had already cleaned it up, so we're all set. And plot is off at this time. Let me give you another tour of the buttons just in case you've forgotten. Of course, the on button, the enter button, the stat button, the y equals, also known downtown as stat plot, if you hit the second. Okay, and there's cursor keys, the graph button, there's the second. That's the way we're going to get our stat plot. And there's stat plot. There's list 1. Of course, you have to hit second 1 to get list 1. And there's list 2. And I'm sure you can imagine they go all the way out through 9. And there's my clear. Okay, I don't think you have to turn it on, but if you do, go ahead and do so. And we're going to hit stat plot again, second y equals, because we're going to turn the ability to plot back on. Okay, remember how to do that. You're going to cursor to the on and hit enter. Okay, now let's get out of there. We've turned plot 1 at least, plot 1 on. Okay, now we're going to enter these points. We enter that via stat. And you can either hit enter or 1 to enter into the editor. Okay, now go ahead and put those points in. 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 5, 1. It's probably easier just to work your way down the X's, 4, or however you want to do it, 4, 3, 2, 1, or I'm sorry, 4, 3, 2, 5, and then just put all 1s in the Y area, the list 2. And once you've done that, go ahead and hit graph, and son of a gun, you should be able to see how many 4 points, and they should kind of line up. I thought you probably expected that. And remember how to get out of that. Clear. Okay, let me see if I can catch up with you. Bring up my calculator. Okay, I'm going to clear out of this. And I'm going to hit, it's already on, so I'll hit second plot to get into second y equals to get into stat plot. And I'm going to turn plot back on. So I'll hit enter, cursor to the on, and hit enter. And now I can see that it's on. And I'll clear out of there. Now let's get this data in there. Get in data via stat. And I'll go into the editor. I'll hit 1 or enter. Okay, now let me cursor over, and I'm going to do this the fancy way. I'm going to use just enter. I'm going to hit 4 and enter, 3 and enter. Notice I don't have to do them in order. 2 and enter, because there's a place somewhere. 5 and enter. There's a place somewhere where I can actually sort them. Okay, now I'm going to cursor up a couple times. Cursor over, and I got to put 4 1s in, don't I? 1, enter. Notice it moves down. 1, enter. 1, enter. And 1, enter. And I think I have the points 4 1, 3 1, 2 1, and 5 1. Okay, I don't believe it. Let me hit graph and see. There they are. There's those 4 little points. Not very impressive, are they? But we'll be getting way more points in the future. I want to go slow now. Okay, how do we get out to the main screen? Hit clear. Very great. Okay, by now I hope you're getting pretty good at this. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a challenge.
How about a little fire, Scarecrow?
I'm going to have you, without clearing anything out, we're going to enter these points, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, 16. Okay? We're going to delete the old ones. We're not going to clear the lists out. We're going to do it by hand. We're going to delete the old points. I want to show you that you can use this button as well. Okay? So I'm going to hit, remember, I don't need to do stat plot because plot is still on. I'm going to hit stat. That's the one I use to actually enter and remove and change data. And I'll hit edit. And I want you to actually go to the old points and hit the delete button. Remember where the delete button is. And just remove that data first. And once you've removed that data, insert the new data, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay? Of course, the way we insert data is via cursoring to the appropriate place, typing the number, and hitting enter, or cursoring off of that area. Just like a little spreadsheet, remember?
Houston, we have a problem.
Now if you graph, go ahead and hit graph, you're going to see that we do have a problem. Maybe I went too fast for you. Let me do it again, okay? Bring up my calculator, and I'll hit stat and edit. Well, I just have to hit 1 or enter. And there's those old points. Let me hit my delete. Delete, 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 and I'll cursor over and delete, 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 delete. Now everything's gone. Let me put in the new points. 11 and enter. Let me cursor up so you can see what I'm doing. And 12 will go here and enter. And I'll cursor over. I want a 13 here and enter. And up and over. And 14. So I took out the old points and I'm putting in the new ones. Okay. Up and over and 16. Okay, now I have the new data. I'm getting pretty good at this. Problem is, if I hit graph, I'm not seeing them. What's going on here? Why am I not seeing them? Well, remember how to get out. Let's hit clear and we'll talk about this. You did everything right. The data's in there and the points are in there. We're just zoomed in too close. Of course, we're at the standard zoom unless you've changed it. We're at this. We're looking at it too close. 15 and 16 and 11 and 12, they're way outside of the current window. So let's use our buddy zoom. Where's the zoom button? Remember zoom? Okay, now I think you're at a zoom standard. That's where we left it last show. The things that are available to us are to zoom to a specific box. See if I can demo that for you. Zoom in. Zoom out. And I don't use the other one. Zoom standard, of course, we've used already. That's to set it back to the standard window. Okay? And zoom stat, that's going to make all the points fit. Ooh, we like that. Make all the points fit. That's going to be another nice one.
Baby, you're the greatest.
Or zoom fit. Now that doesn't fit the points. That fits other stuff, like lines and parabolas and such. Okay, so what we're looking at, I think we want 9. Let's take a look and see what happens. Okay, now I know if I hit graph, I'm not seeing anything. But I'll hit zoom, and I'm going to cursor down. I know there's a 9 down there somewhere. That arrow tells me there's more. There it is. Zoom stat. So, and of course I can hit enter now, or 9. And look, it boxes just the specific points, those 3 points. Now, this isn't the axis, okay? This isn't the axis. This is just the window. If I want to zoom back to my normal window and not see them anymore, I would hit zoom and standard, which is 6. I propose to you that you probably want, so you can get some sanity, so you can see your axes and your points. Let's zoom out. So I'll cursor down to 3 so you can see what I'm doing, and hit enter. Now when you zoom out, you have to hit enter a couple more times. And there it is. There's the 3 points. Of course, it looks like we're far away because we are. Okay, another thing we could do is zoom box. Let's get a just perfect. What I usually do is zoom out and then I zoom box. Watch what happens when I zoom box. I'll hit the 1 and it asks for the box. So I'll use my cursors. See my little crosshair moving as I move up, and it's asking for the top right of the box that I want, and I'm going to use that position right there, and I'll hit enter. Now it's asking for the bottom right, and I'll cursor down, and you see as I cursor down it's forming a box. I'll cursor down and over. So I hit the top left, and now it wants the bottom right, and I want to get the axes in there. I'm hitting my cursors. That's about good. And you can see you got a box, and now you got to finalize it with enter. And how cool is that? That's perfect. That's just what I want. So a common thing to do is either to hit zoom stat, of course you might lose your axes there, or zoom out, way out, and then zoom the exact box that you want. Then you really can have anything you want. How sweet is that? Let me leave it in zoom standards for my own sanity. Zoom 6. Of course it's not good for this problem, but we'll come back. Okay, I'll clear out, and I'm back in the ball game.